Today, we need to get the porch and the garage slabs poured and get the porch header in so we can set trusses. I start out by removing some of the dirt to allow for a layer of crushed stone. I don't really have a specific amount I'm trying to remove, but I will bring up the stone to the top of where the overhead door opening is. This is called stone dust, and I get it from a local garden center. The 5-gallon bucket was about $7. Turns out I needed a little bit more. This piece of plastic is a vapor barrier and is used to prevent moisture from passing through the floor. I made this rebar out of straightened sculpting wire. I'm not following any specific spacing here, just trying to make it look neat and orderly. I know some of you might cringe seeing that I'm tying these together with glue, but honestly, it's way easier than screwing around and trying to tie them with the wire and then moving all over the place and getting frustrated. I do the same thing to the porch, removing dirt to allow for stone. Again, nothing specific in mind here, just going off of a feel. I slowly add the stone, trying not to add more than I need. I thought to keep the stone just below the top of the foundation wall, so the slab would sit in this area, help keeping it in place. Do you hear that? That's the sound of aluminum tape sticking to my fingers as I apply it to the house. This flashing is used to prevent water from entering the building. I use tape here because, well, why not? Now it's time to form this front porch up. I do that by cutting some leftover 2x4s using hot glue to secure them to the foundation. These 2x4s are the thickness I want the slab to be, so I'm using them as a reference for the top of the forms. These are leftover 2x10 forms I used to form up the footings for the foundation. That video is linked right here. Now, these forms don't require any bracing, but it's part of the process and I'm going to throw them in. This is cement all. Is it the best cement product I could be using for this application? Through experimentation, the answer is simply no. But this is the last little bit of what I have in the bag, and I'm about to find that out. It's great for repairs where you would want a fast setup time. Not good for first time model house building when you don't have the process nailed down and you're dealing with it getting more difficult to work with. That last little bit that I put toward the back of the garage was all that I had left. Because I ran out of the cement all, I only needed enough for this small area. I found a 5-pound bag of quick-rete, high-strength concrete at my local Ace Hardware store, and needless to say, this was much more easier to work with. I am using an old cheap paintbrush to give it a broom finish. This edger I made out of some aluminum I had laying around. I find the sides look way better than the front. I'm not sure exactly why. After not working on the project for a couple days, it's time to remove the forms. This pile of debris has been sitting here for quite a while now. Let's get it cleaned up to make room for the trusses. This is the roof sheathing. For the time being, they will be stored in the garage so they are out of our way. This pile is all the truss bracing, subfascia, and some overframing material. I meticulously made 25 trusses for this house. For a short entertaining video about the trusses being assembled, you can watch that right here. Admittedly, I lost some footage right here, so I'm getting right into notching out where the porch header is going to be supported in the garage wall. I am using a Beavercraft carving knife to make this notch. Mostly in part because I don't have a small enough saw. Using a knife to cut through OSB is not difficult at all. I am using this board as a rigid straight edge to build the porch header up to. This will allow me to keep the same plate height across the garage to the end of the header. I carefully mark out where I need to cut a temporary post, ensuring the header remains snug against the board. When flushing up the board, I'm holding in my right hand to the top of the plate. I determine where the bottom extent is I need to notch out. A temporary brace is used here to keep the post from any unwanted movement. This guide is flushed up to the outside of the framing and is used to determine the right side of where the notch out for the header is going to be. Again, I carefully scribe the sheathing, removing the material that's not needed. Because I am building a model, yes, I am using the sheathing for support for the header, and no, that's not how you do it. I just don't feel like tearing into this corner that's held together with glue. Next, I mark out the outside ply to cut, then do the same for the inside. The posts are 6x6 treated posts and will be used to support the porch header and the roof. I mark everything to fit and cut each post, watching carefully for any rise in the header when inserted underneath. Here, I am using the straight edge to make sure everything is on the same plane. And it is. Now, we are ready to set trusses.